Hello everyone. So today I'm going to talk about a website that I have created using the Mern stack. This website is primarily a blog that I have created and I'll be showing it to you. This website is available in the domain name mentalexcellence.in. So a few things about this website. It is created using Mern stack. So there is MongoDB, Express.js, React.js, and Node.js. The front end is created using React and it has different parts to it. This is the home page, which consists of different components. Then there is the article page, which also again comprise of different components. So I'll be going through every single component that is there, and I'll be showing you how this blog slash website works. So once you click on the website, we have come to the main homepage of the website. So over here you can see there's a domain name. There in the header there is a navigation links. Clicking the navigation link shows you a little more options inside the category. Then there's a story section and there's a settings section. I'll show you what everything does. Next we have the cover page, which is basically why should you strive to pursue mental excellence with the answer given. So along with the read more options, if the user wants to understand more the importance of mental excellence, he can do so by clicking this button. Next, we have the component, which is the quote of the day, which is changes every single day, which I updated on every single day. So currently it is our struggles of the short-term lessons we learn to achieve long-term success by Simon Sinek. Next, we have the article section, which is the main bread and butter of the blog. So these are the articles that I write inside the blog. For example, what is the importance of having a purpose in life, understanding operant conditioning and how it works, how to find something lost in your house, etc., etc. And these articles also have their own categories. So this is related to productivity, this is related to psychology, and this is related to productivity again. Next, we have a description of them. So what is the importance of purpose in life? And there's a small description to make the reader click on it and understand it further. Next, it's also we have the duration specified, how long it is going to take the user to read. So depending on the amount of time he or she has, they can open the article and read it. Next up, we have the stories section, which are short stories about different things. So with they have good morals to it. So let's say if a person does not want to read an article, he or she can just indulge in some stories, which are always nice to read and always fun to read and have good morals at the end of the day as well. So this is the story section. Again, the layout is different. This is a bigger layout because articles are more important, and the stories have a shorter this to it, but more quantity. So the user can choose based on what he or she wants to read. Next up, we have the card section. The card section just pick up one topic and explain it in detail. So for example, B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner was a person who was an American psychologist, and he has done a lot of things for psychology in, for example, introducing the operant conditioning theory. So these are certain things that are there that the user can read and know about more. Like for example, what is meditation, what is single tasking, and how is it better or different from multitasking. So these are the different options that are available. Next up, we have the footer. This is a reminder for the person to, come in every day and read the blogs. Next, we have the content again revised in the footer section, the articles, stories, and cards, the categories. We also have different policies. I have included them, the privacy policy, the cookie terms and conditions, which are available, and the cookies policy and the disclaimer. Next, we also have the socials available. So if the user wants to check the social media, he can do so. So this is the home page that is there. So now I'll be going to the article page. So once the user the person clicks on the read more section, he comes to the article page, which is the question, who is the author, how much time it's going to take to read, and the day it was created with the reference photo and basically the entire details of the blog along with the loved it, show it section, which means the user can always like the article if he loved it. So this is the article section of the blog. Again, if the user wants to go back, he can click the home page again. He'll be redirected to it. Next, if we go to the single article section, again, it is the same thing. This time there is a category there. So if this is a part of productivity section, the productivity category will be on top. Then the question, the author, and everything else as stated. And again, you have more article content inside this. Again, the elaborate short section along with the entire content and then with the footer present. So the stories also follow the same format. If you choose to select a single story, for example, again, the category, the author and everything, and the article section. And the moral, we also have a moral of the story added, which is at the end, along with again the like it section and the footer. And finally, the cards section. The cards are slightly different from the stories and articles in the sense that first a dialogue opens. Let's say the user just wants to skim through cards, he can just read it, go back, read it, go back, read it, and so on and so forth. So hence this dialogue is provided since it's more of a skimming thing that people do when it comes to cards. However, if the person is uncomfortable, he can always switch to card mode. He can always switch to article mode. So now it is in the article format. So now he can read the article the way he wants to, and there is no restriction at all. Again, so now we come to different categories. So let's say the user only wants to seek articles related to productivity. So you can go to category and select productivity. Here he'll be shown cards, articles related to productivity, and stories related to productivity. Currently, I haven't written any stories related to productivity, so they aren't available. If we go to, for example, thoughts, we have articles related to thoughts and stories related to thoughts. Next, we have awareness. So just like in homepage, you have a why should you strive to pursue mental excellence. Every category I was planning to have every category having a what is awareness and why is it important. So the basic title and the details of what the category is all about. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it for the other categories. So again, the articles related to awareness with the stories. The same goes for philosophy. What is philosophy? Articles, stories, and whichever is remaining, the mindset. Similarly, it goes for the mindset. So along with the stories related to the mindset. Okay, so this is the category section. Also, if the user wants to click on the stories, he can see all the stories that are currently available in this blog. So there are a lot of stories right now available. The user can definitely go through a story that he likes, go back and then read the next story and so on and so forth. Also, the user can also go to latest articles. Once he clicks on that, all the articles will be displayed in duration format. So basically, whichever is written last will come up first. So as you can see, there are a lot of articles present in this. Also, there is pagination present. So if the user clicks on the next page, he will be redirected to the next section. So this prevents endless scrolling of the articles. Similarly, we come to the card section. Once you click on cards, it shows all the cards that are currently available. And then the user can always scroll to and choose whichever card he wishes to read. Okay, so this is primarily the home page along with the article section. Also, in the settings bar, we have the theme. So I always feel that the person should always be comfortable when he's reading, and changing the theme helps the person to read as comfortably as possible. So if the person changes to a, let's say, more Kindle format, book-like format, which people do love to read in, then he can do so. So now when the user clicks on this, he can always read it like it's reading a book because of the UI format. Next, we also have the black and white format. So this is the dark theme, which is preferred a lot nowadays. So the dark theme basically helps the user read in dark mode, especially at night. It helps his or her eyes a lot. So this is the dark theme. Also, when it comes to text alignment, people have a habit of reading in proper alignment structure. They do not like reading in a left align. The center line is usually preferred. Also, if the user wants to read it in this fashion, he can do so as well. This is a middle align. So everything is aligned in the center. Um, so if the user clicks on the middle align, everything will be aligned in the center. As you can see, the questions are centered, the date and everything is centered. Doing a left align will make it left, and this center will keep everything centered. Okay. Also, when you're reading in a short device like a phone or something, the header takes a lot of space. So I have made this button for it, so which actually helps the user. Okay, this will be difficult for the user. This is something so which makes it easier for the user to read. So you can see the header is no longer, occupying any extra space. as it is doing now. So this makes it very convenient for the user to read. If he ever wants the header back, you can just click on this button and voila, the header is back, right? Um, so yes, this is in general the entire mental excellence blog. As you can see, there are a lot of features ranging from changing of theme to text alignment to also you can see if you notice a certain article, if you click on an article, you will be given article slash what is the importance. So basically the question written in it. So it's very easy for the person to, search for an article if he or she forgets it. For example, if I'm, let's say, searching for BF Skinner, you can see it's a card and then the name BF Skinner. If you ever want to, search for, let's say, nature, then you know how the URL will look like. It will be a card and it will be a nature symbol. So once you do this, you can see that a nature article related to nature has come up, right? The same goes for story as well. Once you click on story, it will be a story and stories. Now, let's say if you want to select all the articles available, then you just click on latest article and you can see it's just an easy URL just saying slash articles, which basically shows all the possible articles that are present in the website. The same goes for stories and the same goes for cards, right? So as you can see, it is so convenient for the person to, remember the URLs and to do it in fashion. Also, I have provided cookies. So for example, let's say if I delete the cookies that are available. So if I go to application and I'll just quickly delete the cookies that are available. This is development work. And let's say I reload the website. So once it's reloading, it takes some time and there you go. This is the pop-up that comes up that the website collects cookies to deliver better user experience. And what does this mean is basically the website will be storing cookies in the browser to remember the theme and the alignment that the user has chosen. So next time when the person clicks on this website, it will automatically load this website in that color. So for example, I've chosen this in black and I have centered it. Okay, now I happen to close this website and let's say I open the website again. You can see that none of the cookies, since I had not saved the cookies, it is returning back to the original white format. However, if I, let's say, decide to, click on the cookies and now I change the theme to black with centered and now I close it. And if I do follow the same procedure again, you can see that now it has opened in the black format. If I, let's say, decide to do it in this format and let's say I close it and I open it again, you can see the format is saved. So this is the basic idea of a cookie. So cookies are stored, which makes it very easy for the user to remember the user settings. And also if the user does not wish to store cookies, then just clicking the cross button will again open it in the normal format. So these are the different functionalities that are present in this blog. I hope you liked it. If you ever want to give it a read, it is available in the website www.mentalexcellence.in. It's HTTPS, so it's secure. And that is about this website. Thank you for listening.
I'll be showing you the backend code now of how the backend is configured. So basically, as I said, we are using the MERN stack, that is MongoDB, ExpressJS, React.js, and Node.js. So I'll be going through MongoDB, basically what MongoDB is, how I'm storing it in the database, how I'm hosting the images, that is the image hosting thing that I'm using. If I open the image in a new tab, you can see that this is the CDN, that is the content distribution network, that is where I'm hosting the image. I'll also be going through the VPS, which is the virtual private server that I use for this website for hosting all the files at the backend. And finally, I'll be showing you where I've bought the domain from. Okay. But before that, I'll be going through the VS Code. So to show you the React coding along with the APIs for how this blog is configured. So without further ado, let me quickly open VS Code. Yes. So this is the mental excellence dash master is the main folder, which consists of two subfolders. We have the API and the client. The client is basically where all the React components and all the UI is done. So every styling that you see here, most of the layouts and everything, and everything related to components is done in the client section. That is the front end section. The API is responsible for handling the backend section. So the get APIs, the create APIs, the update and the delete APIs are all part in the of the API section. So the entire backend, client to server handling is done through APIs and is done in this API folder. All right. So first I'll be going through the API folder. In the API folder, we have package.json, which tells you the name of the file of the folder along with the dependencies. So as you can see, I have CORS installed. CORS stands for Cross Origin Resource Sharing. So whenever you want to um, use some file from another website and host it in your website, it will throw a error saying that CORS is not enabled. So you need CORS to enable that. We have .env. .env is a file for storing my MongoDB public URL for linking my MongoDB database to the APIs. Next, we have Mongoose and Express.js, which is again for creating the APIs. We have Multer for file distribution and NodeDaemon for start script. So whenever I make changes to the API, if it's just node index.js, then I have to refresh the page to basically reflect the changes. However, if I use NodeDaemon, it automatically reflects the changes just on save. Hence, these are the packages that I've used. Now I'll be heading to the index section. So as you can see, the index is a pretty simple, pretty straightforward file. We have Express, all the libraries are imported, whichever is needed. And we also have the routes. I'll be showing what the routes are and why they are written like this. We have also have CORS, as I said, CORS we need when we need for cross-origin resource sharing. And as you can see, I've used app.use CORS here. We are using Mongoose to connect to the database. So here we have given the MongoDB backend URL. It is stored in the env. Unfortunately, I cannot show you that. And this is a promise. So basically, when it successfully gets created, successfully gets called, the console.log says database connected. Otherwise, it throws an error, basically a catch error saying that there is an error generated, right? Then we have routes. So this is how the routes are configured. So whenever I have to do a request, send a request, this is how the formatting should be. If it is a QOTD basically stands for quote of the day. So if I do slash API slash QOTD and a get request, it will show me the quote of the day. If I do slash API slash cards slash get request, it will show me all the get requests of cards. Basically, I'll show in the route section how they're configured. The same goes for articles and the same goes for stories, right? Next up, we have 5000, which is where the port is. This is where the port we are running the client from. It's 5000 and the API from, and the client is running in the port 3000, right? It's a pretty simple, pretty straightforward file, as I mentioned. Next up, we have the model section. So the models is basically responsible for holding the database schema of all the types of models that are present. So if I show you the article schema, there is the title, which is required true. There's ID title, which is required true. So let me just quickly show you in this how the content is formed. So this is the title. Then this is the ID title. What dash is dash the dash importance. This is the ID title. Next we have the description. So if I just go back, for a particular content, the small description that is present is the description. Having purpose in life will motivate you to keep working outside. That is the description. And this is the content. So after description comes the content. So this whole thing that I've written is the content section. Next, we have the cover image, which is this cover image. So basically the link to this image is stored there. We have the image caption, which is the reference pixabay. So basically if I click on this, you can see that it shows you where I've taken the image from. I always believe that if you are using an external image, it is always important to give a reference to that link so that for authentic, for genuine, because it supports the creators as well and it enhances your website as well, right? So that is the image caption. We have the image alt, which is the alternate text if the image is not loading. So let's say if somebody is using a screen reader or if the image did not load because of network issue, it will throw you an image alt telling you what the image is all about, right? Next up, we have the author. The author is stored here. We have the category. The category is stored here. Then we have cover page, which is true or false. So this is a cover page and it is also an article. So if it is a cover page, then it will be displayed here. If it is not a cover page, then it will be displayed here. That is how I've configured it. Duration type, one is short, two is medium, three is detailed. So basically, there is a reason the duration type is used is because if I go to latest articles, you can see that there are few articles which are marked as detailed and there are few which are not. And the reason being these have a duration type of 3, which means it's detailed. And when it's detailed, I've configured it slightly differently. I've added a golden ribbon to it to notify the user that the article that they are about to read is detailed and it will take some time to read. So it is better to keep some time free for you to read it and not to rush into it. If they do want to read some small articles, they're always welcome. They are on the site as well. So hence, we have the duration type present to notify the user that this is a detailed duration type. Okay. Next up, we have the duration. So this is a 10 or a 3 or a 3, 4. So these numbers are the duration. Next, we have the likes count. So if I click on this one, then you can see the likes currently for this article are 0. So this is the likes count. If I click on some other article, you can see the likes for this are like 4. So for every article, I'm storing the likes count in the backend. So this is how it is stored, right? And finally, we have the article schema. So this is article slash articles, right? So this is how the model is stored. So if I keep articles here in the backend, the data collection name will be called articles. Next, we have book review. So book review is something that I was planning to add in my blog. Unfortunately, I didn't. The book review was going to be basically a separate entity or as of itself, where I would be writing reviews of books that I like or that I don't like, that I've read it, and giving them ratings and explaining what they're all about and what I like about them and what I dislike about them. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to do it. I was planning to do it, and I may do it in the near future. So basically for that also the schema was pretty similar to article only. As you can see, there's title, ID title, description, content, cover image, and so on. So next we come to card. Card again follows a very similar format. We have ID title. So if I open a card and if I switch to article mode, ID title is this one. Then we have the title. Title is this one, BF Skinner. Then we have the cover image, which is his photo. Um, the image caption, which is this one currently doesn't have an image caption. The content, basically the entire content over here, and then we have the likes count and if it is a cover page, right? So it's currently false. Even cards have cover pages because if you ever want to open the latest card section, then I do plan to keep a cover page of this. So that will be that will be cover page too, right? Next, we have the category. So category is basically a string. So there will be multiple categories. Over here, as you can see, there are multiple categories: awareness, thoughts, emotions, mindset, philosophy, psychology, and productivity. So these are all stored in the collections category.js. Next, we have the quote of the day. Quote of the day is this one: our struggles are the short-term lessons we learn to achieve long-term success. You can see there's only a quote and there is an author. So this is the quote and this is the author that I'm storing in the backend, right? Next, we have the story, which again follows a very similar format of the article. We have the title, we have the ID title, we have the author, the duration, the date. Okay, coming to the date. So timestamps true basically adds two new fields, which is created at and changed at. So when you say timestamps true, two new fields are added, and these two new fields are used for fetching the blog date, right? Even though I've not configured date anywhere, these are responsible for fetching the date, right? Next, we have image caption and image alt is also there. So also one more thing to note is if you notice the categories, they're of type array. Even in article, if you notice, they're of type array, whereas everything else is more mainly of type string. And the reason is that one article can have multiple types, so multiple categories. So for example, if I look at one article, like for example, this one, you can see that there are two categories, thoughts and mindset, that are present, which is like one article does have two categories stored, right? Hence, it is categories of type array, so it stores thoughts in index 0 and mindset in index 1. right? So this is about the model section. Next, we come to the roots section. So the roots is important for configuring the APIs, how they are, how basically what API call will do what. So here, if I let's say want to create an article using an API, then it has to be a post call and it has to be slash. So I'll quickly open Postman to show you how this works. One second. Yes. So let's say if I want to create an article, then all I have to do is I have to make this a post request and I have to do HTTP localhost 5000 API slash article. And why is it slash API slash articles? Because in the index.js, I've configured it like slash API slash articles to call the article route. So if I'm calling the article route here, then I need to use slash API slash articles. And after that, if there is one more slash, that means I'm creating an article, right? Then for creating an article, you need to do new article required dot body. Currently the body is empty. Let's say if I want to add something like title, hello world, this entire thing has to be in JSON format. So let's quickly add brackets to it, right? Then we have ID title. Hello world. Similarly, we can have description. My first API request, let's say. I won't be running this because there is authorization required and I do not want to use that right now. But yes, this is how the API is done. So you have slash API slash article slash, and then you put the content inside the body and then you click on send. So in the backend, this request will go to the backend, right? Next, we have update article based on title. So if you, let's say, want to update the article based on the title, you basically have to use this in the backend. So when you after article slash, you have to put this, and then you want to put the content again that you want to update. So these will get overwritten by the new content that I'm passing. Okay. So what it does is it basically finds by the ID. So ID, if you've noticed, is unique. ID is a unique parameter. When somebody says unique true, that means only one article can have only one title. If somebody else has a duplicate title, it will not allow you to store it in the database. It will throw an error, right? Similarly, for required true, that means it's a mandatory field. That means you have to enter the title for an article. You cannot create an article without a title. Similarly, you cannot create an article without an ID title, right? So these are the two parameters that are very important and are required. Next, we have, as we continue, we will find by ID the title, then we'll update the article. So we use find by ID and update to find by ID and update to update the article. Then we have the required body, which is basically it will replace the body with what we have passed. So in the database, you have a different set of fields, and in the Postman, when you pass a different set of fields, it will override the fields already present in the database, right? And if it is successfully passed, there you will get a status of 200, which is a status OK, and 500 is an internal server status. That means there's an internal server status error, right? Next, we have like an article. So if you have noticed, every article has this like option. You can like it here. So if the user wants to like this in the backend, the ID will be passed with the slash like. That means the user has liked this option. If the in the body, if I pass type equal to like, that means that means the user has liked it. If I pass something else like unlike, then a -1 will be passed when the user can unlike it, dislike it. So it's like this. If you click on one, you can see it's updating. If I click on two, if I click it again, it becomes one again, right? So this is like, this is unlike. So this is how it works. Next, we have get article by ID title. So every article over here is fetched. If you want to fetch a particular article, you can fetch it using the ID title, that is fetching it using the URL that is present. So the moment if I load this URL, it will automatically fetch this whole article through this URL over here. All right. Now, if you want to fetch all the articles that are present, then you just use slash That means all the articles will be loaded for you. This is in this case where you're passing it, fetching all the articles over here. So just simply passing slash will fetch all the articles uh, in the front page, in the front end, right? Also, if you want to put some parameters like category, you can do so. If you want to do something like slash category equal to uh, productivity. So this is a query parameter that is passed, productivity, right? So this is a query parameter that is passed. It will fetch your category, what it is, and it will filter based on that. So even that is done in this article, get all articles itself, right? Also, there is a limit that you can pass. Again, in the same fashion, you can do slash limit equal to 3. That means only 3 articles will be displayed to you, right? So this is how it works. It's pretty straightforward. I'll just quickly, if there are any changes present, yes. Okay. The same goes for book reviews. As I said, I didn't write anything for book reviews. Same goes for cards. Slash is for create. And instead of title, we have key in a card. We have underscore ID slash like for a card. So with cards have like buttons. So if you notice here, if you look at a card, you can see they also have a like button. Every card also has a like button with it, right? Then we have a get card by key slash ID title. So if you want to fetch this card based on the key, you can do so as well. Then we have it's simply putting slash will fetch all the cards that are available. Again, you can filter it based on category or something else, right? So even that option is present. And for example, over here, the reason I have put it is filtering by category is because uh, if, as you can see over here, I'm only fetching 3 articles, and that is because I've put a limit of 3. In here, I don't have any limits present, so it's showing all the articles that are available. If I open a category, let's say awareness, it is showing me a category equal to awareness. I've put a filter, so it's showing me only one since there is only one article. If I put something like thoughts, or let me just quickly check mindset. So in mindset, I have multiple articles related to mindset. However, it's showing me the first 3 ones, that is limit equal to 3 I've put, right? So this is how the whole API call works. So this is basically how the front end part of it, back end part of it works, how the API handling is done. I can also show you how it is configured through the network tab. So if I if I quickly go to network, and let's say I remove everything that's present there, and let's say I click on an article, you can see that this is the header call that is done, api.mentalexcellence.in slash API slash article slash ID title. So I've passed the ID title here. As a result, in the response, I've got its underscore ID. I got the title. What is the importance of having? Sorry about that. I've got what is the importance of having purpose in life. I have the ID title. What is the importance of having a purpose in life? The description, the content, and everything gets stored. Everything gets displayed. Everything is fetched from backend and everything is displayed as an API request. I can then use this, basically give out to basically fetch this data and then display it in any way I want to. Okay. Similarly, let's say if I want to like this article, I can click here. And if you look at this, you can see that it's a slash API slash articles ID slash the ID title slash like. So if I go to article section, if I go to like an article, you can see it's slash underscore ID slash like. So the slash underscore ID is this one, and then slash like, and in the payload I'm passing type as like. That means it's incrementing by 1. If I click on it again, uh, then it will be slash unlike, and then the whole thing will not get displayed. If I quickly show it to you like this, like, dislike, okay, it is for some reason it's not working right now. And basically, if I disliked it, it will stop showing up. It will show unlike and it will decrement by 1. Okay. Next, we have, let's say if you want to fetch the list of all articles, you can see over here. I'll do this one. So I want all the articles which do not have, which have cover page false. And then in the response section, you will have multiple such of these created. If I just quickly, fetch the whole thing and show it to you through console, it will be easier. You can see there are 16 articles that are created over here, 16 articles that are displayed over here, Every article has their own value, author, category, and everything that is stored. So you can see how easy it is, how organized everything is, how everything is fetched and how everything is displayed here, right? So basically, this is how the APIs work. Now I will quickly show you the backend of it. So this is the MongoDB website. Inside this, we have the database, which is Mental Excellence. And inside this, I have four collections: articles, cards, quote of the day, and stories. So this is where everything is stored. As you can see, title is stored here. 5 ways to revive your thoughts to become more optimistic in life. So if I open the last article, that is the first article that I've created, you can see this is the title that is stored in the backend. Then we have the ID title, 5 ways to, this part that is stored. Then we have the description, your thoughts determine your chances. So if you notice in the home page, the description that was there. Then we have the content, what's your thoughts, you become the words. If you notice in the content section, I do not have italics present, and yet when I do it in the backend, it automatically becomes italics. And that is because I put a star over here. So what this star does is it converts it into italics. Adding 2 stars would convert it into bold. And the reason it does that is because it follows something known as a markdown syntax. A markdown syntax is basically you store the content in the database in such a way that when you retrieve it from the front end, when you retrieve it in the front end, it will get displayed in a certain way. For example, if you store a hashtag space heading level 1, it will add an h1 tag to it. So this will be the size of it. If I add 2 hashtags, it will become an h2 tag. So it will display like this. 3 hashtags, h3, so on and so forth. For paragraphs, you don't have to do anything. For line breaks, I don't think you have to do anything. Just put it on the next line. However, for bold, if you want to do, you have to put 2 asterisks. That means it becomes a bold text. And in my case, if you notice, I put 1 asterisk. That it makes it italics, right? So that is how it works. 1 asterisk I've put, hence it is in italics. Otherwise, if I put 2 asterisks, it will become bold, right? Cover image is basically the link of the imager website where I've stored the image. Image caption is this one. If you notice the image caption, again, I've stored it in a very weird format. I have put reference and then pec cells, and then I've put the website link. And the reason again is markdown syntax. If you look at links, let's quickly search for links. You can see that the links format is basically DuckDuckGo, that is the title, and then the URL. So in the square brackets, you have the title or the link ID that should be shown in the UI and the backend, the link that you wanted to get redirected to. So that is how Markdown syntax works. So if you store it in the backend in a certain way, it will be shown in that way itself, right? Next, I'll be showing the category. So if you can see, category is of type array, and there are 2 types here, thoughts and mindset. So that is how it is stored in the backend. So as you can see, there are total 23 documents. So there will be 23 articles, including cover pages that are all there present here. Next, we have the cards. In the same fashion as articles, we also have cards, the ID title, whatever the content is, then every single image and everything is getting stored here, right? So this is how the whole MongoDB database is stored. All the database values are stored in here. Yes. So this is how everything is getting stored, and I'm retrieving everything from MongoDB like this itself. Next, we have the image hosting. So if you look at a certain image, as I said, it is using my domain name. That is because I'm storing it in a website called bunny.net. This is where everything gets stored. If I look at articles, you can see that these are the current images. The first I was using Imager, but then I switched to this one because this one basically uses my own domain name for storing it. It's a good CDN. So basically, when I click on copy URL and I paste the URL, you can see that the image gets shown like this, right? It is a very good way of storing images and basically files, and then retrieving it. So this is for articles. If I go back, we have cards similarly in the same format, and then we also have stories in the same format, right? So this is basically image hosting the content delivery network. This is for hosting images. Nothing much to explain in this. Next, we have the VPS. A VPS is basically a virtual private server. So this is where my all my data files, all my files, backend files, including client and API are deployed. So my entire mental excellence file is deployed there, along with the name of my domain and everything is basically stored here. So this is where the everything is at. If I stop the VPS, my website will stop working. Next, we have Namecheap. So Namecheap is the place where I've bought my domain Mental Excellence from. If I click on Manage, so this is the mentalexcellence.in domain that I've bought it from, and it basically tells how much it is for how long it is active, and a few other things. Right? So this is Namecheap, and yes, so that is pretty much in the client section and in the backend section. Next, we have the client. So in the client section, we have the React.js component stored here. So I'll quickly close these files. Uh, yes. So inside this, we have the SRC component. The SRC is for sorting assets, components, hooks, and util class. I'll just give a quick overview of what is what. Assets are for storing images that are very frequently used, like awareness, crown. So if you notice at this page, this crown is not stored in the somewhere in the backend, but it is stored as a file in my own website. So as you can see, it is stored in my mentalexcellence.in itself. The same goes for emotions, and so basically the ones that you keep using for a very long time are get stored here. If you look at mindset, uh, you can see that this is the one that it uses. If you also look at my logo name, mentalexcellence.in, so mentalexcellence.in, it gets stored here, right? So the ones that are frequently used should be stored in assets. Also, you should not store everything in assets. The reason being then the file size becomes very heavy and you only have a limited space in your VPS or wherever you're deploying it. So it's always better to have the ones that you frequently use inside your file, but the other rest of the ones in a virtual private server. Sorry, inside a content delivery network like image hosting website, right? So these everything are stored in an image hosting website. The ones that are frequently used, like the logo, the name, this logo, this icon, are basically stored in my website, right? So this is all about assets. Next, we have the components. This is where the actions at. Um, if you look at this component is known as something known as cover page. This is a cover page. It has a cover page and a cover page article. So the cover page is for like fetching all the posts. So depending on the category, it fetches a different post. So basically, if the category is something else, let's say mindset, as I've shown, so although it is basically this is also a cover page article, but since its category is mindset, it filters me the cover page with category mindset in it. For this, it filters me a cover page with the ID title in it. Right. Similarly, for awareness, it will be something different. For thoughts, I believe I don't have configured yet. It will be something different. For psychology and productivity and philosophy, it will be something different. Right. Cover page article is the same. So as you can see, I've written React Markdown syntax here. And that means that the backend will use React Markdown syntax. That means if I want to put anything in bold, I have to use double asterisk for it. Yes. Next, we have the quote of the day. So the quote of the day is QOTD content over here. So it is a QOTD content. It will have a, so what's a line, diamond, line? If I show you, this is a UI thing that I've added. So line, diamond, line is basically a line that gets created. So this is the line that gets created. Then there are three diamonds, which is a font awesome icon. And this is a line another. So this is a reusable component. I can use it as many times as I want. All I have to do is I have to call line, diamond, line, and it will create a new line timeline. Basically, this feature, this component will get added. So in the QOTD section, I have added this, which means it will be the line this feature. Then inside this, we're calling the QOTD content. This will have the title, the body, and the author. So the title is quote of the day, body is this, and author is this, and then another line, diamond line for finishing it. Right? So pretty easy to explain. Next, we have the article section. This is the latest articles. So the article section is divided in terms of article set and article set item. So the whole thing is one article set, whereas the individual things are the items, basically the article set items. So the article set in general, the article set will be calling the article set item inside it. So if you can see, I'm mapping it and calling article set item. And the reason this one is slightly longer is because this uses something known as React paginate, which is basically when I come to all article sections, I should not have like 100 articles in a single page and the user has to keep scrolling it. Rather, pagination is involved. So if I just click on two, the next set of pages are next set of articles are loaded, right? This makes it very easy for the person to read it and to not lose track of where he or she is, right? So this is done using something known as React paginate, and I can always specify the number of articles to be shown inside a single page. That is up to my control completely. Hence the article set item and article set. If I go inside article set, you will see there is something known as article set wrapper and article set title. So if you ever want to confirm it, you can always go to inspect and check out the CSS. You can see that this is the article set collection. Inside this, we have an article set item wrapper for everyone. And then the article set, we have the h tag, which is the link, and the image and the content, right? So everything is pretty self-explanatory. Everything is very organized, very easy for a person who is, reading my code to follow. They will not have any issues at all. So as I said, article set item has something known as a link. The link automatically gets converted into an a tag with an href of where I'm proposing it. So slash article slash id title, which is if I click on this, it'll be slash article slash title of the article, right? Then we have the image and the content. The content has a title, date, and description. So we have the image, the content. The content will have the title, date, category, description, and everything else in it, right? The same goes for stories. We'll have a story. You can see there's a story collection. Then everything has a story wrapper to it. The story wrapper will have a again an href, a link to story slash title event, and then there is a content, and then there is an image. Yes. So again, the story is pretty similar. The same goes for cards, card set wrapper. If I look, the card set wrapper is over here. Then we have a line, diamond, line. We have a card set title. We have card set wrapper. If I look at the card set wrapper, you can see individual cards are over here. Again, a link, image src, and then a div. This is not a link because this opens a dialog and not a link, right? So this is there. And then finally, we have the footer. The footer, again, we have the footer content, the title, the subtitle header, and the menu. Yes, so everything is very organized. If you ever want to read the React components, you'll see that it is very easy to read and it is very user friendly also. Even again, if I'll show you the header section, maybe I'll show it to you from here itself. So everything is very neatly distributed. You can see that there's a header. This is the header. This is the header items. In the header items, we have the left items and the right items. Right items have the home and the menu items. The menu items is basically this one, right? And also there is a change happens that if you notice this goes up, right? This happens over here. So everything is basically taken care by CSS and React.js. If I show you header over here, header. So here header will be inside the layout section. So you will have category. You will have this is the main header, right? This has nav link to everything. So home will have one, stories will have one, and it will redirect to a certain section. And then there's the category button and the settings button, right? There is also navigation button. So the navigation button initially is hidden. Only when if it is small, this is the navigation button that gets displayed. So everything is very, beautifully written over here. It's very readable. I think if you ever want to, go through the code, you can. I don't have much to explain here. And that's it. So this is the entire project. In entirety, it took me around 3 to 4 months to complete this whole blog. I wanted it to make it as UI friendly as possible, hence it took me a lot of time. Otherwise, the backend the components and everything was MongoDB and everything was pretty much easier to understand and do it. But the responsiveness and making it very easy for any person who's reading this for in any device, making them go through this, something that I really wanted to make it happen, right? Also, okay, I'll just go through the hooks as well. So hooks are basically functions that I use inside the components that are custom use state functions that I use. So if there is use button height, the reason this is used is because uh, if I've written the comment here as well, hooks for hiding component when the user clicks anywhere else. So basically in the card section, you can see this is opened. If I click anywhere else, this gets closed. and this is achieved through use button height section. We have use window dimension section. So the reason for this is for getting the dimension of the window, what the window width is. Here it is 1219. So the reason this is there is because if you notice that there are currently eight art stories that are shown here. But if I, let's say, reduce the size of it, you can see that how clunky it is for the user, that there are a total of eight stories. So he has to, one, two, he has to keep going through the stories one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, and it's boring for the user. So if I refresh the screen, automatically it shows only four stories. So depending on what the user width is, it will automatically refresh the number of stories that are available. Right, so that is why use window dimensions is used. We also have util functions. We have the fetch date. The reason we have fetch date is because every article uses the fetch date. So 25th July 2022. In the backend, this gets stored in this format 2022-06-06, but it is not human readable. So we have to fetch the date from this weird syntax to 25th July 2022. Yes, so that is why we have used it. Next, we have first letter upper. So again, if you notice the categories over here, P is capital, P is capital, P is capital. But in the backend, if you notice, the categories, everything is small. P is small. If I'll check something else, M is small. But we need to make the first letter capital of everything, for easier for the user. Hence, we was using first letter upper to make the first letter capital of every single category or anything else as well. Then get access request. So we are fetching all APIs, all the data using Axios. We are posting all, creating data also through Axios in the front end. So Axios is a library that is responsible for fetching data, for fetching the data, for creating the data, for updating the data, for everything that happens. Axios is used. So in this get access request, I have basically, modularized it, and for usability purposes, I've used it in a separate file. So it's easier. So that is it about the client side of it also. It's, as I said, the components are pretty self-explanatory. I showed you what hooks and util are. Index.js is basically just holds the app, and the scroll to top is again it's a file. I think it's a component, and the reason is because when I click on something over here, it should again go back to the top section. But rather, what was happening is when I click on something at the lower part of it, it used to stay in the lower section of it, right? So I had to, it wasn't easier for the user. So it had to scroll to top. Hence, the scroll to top section is used in index.js, right? Strict mode is basically for syntax errors and everything. The act will take it very strictly in generic terms. That means if there is a small error, also it will throw an error and it will tell you what the issues are. Hence, it is in strict mode, right? Again, if you go to package.json, you can see all the dependencies that I needed. I needed font awesome for all the icons. I have React. Basically, I need React. DOM is for the router. Markdown syntax. Paginate was for the pagination. Spinning wheel is basically the busy indicator. So if you notice this, if you notice the four things roaming around, that is the busy indicator. So this is the spinning wheel that I've used. If I click on something, you can see that was loading, right? So that is the spinning wheel that is there, that I've used in this circumstances. So that is the spinning wheel. So yes, that is about it. I hope you like my blog. It took me a lot of time, and I'm glad that I was able to, create it and even deploy it in our domain. So it took me 3 to 4 months, and I hope you like this video. Thank you so much.